Maul Shadow Lord debuts in just a couple of days, and I am very excited for it, so I wanted to express a few hopes that I have for the series. Honestly, everything I've seen of it and heard about it seems fantastic, so if it's exactly what it appears to be, I will be very happy with the direction they've taken. This is more about where I hope the show ultimately goes and what I hope it is able to achieve in its entirety. My first hope is that it manages to answer the big questions about Maul during the time between the Clone Wars and Rebels. We know how his story ends, but there are still some things that I'm very curious about as a fan of this character. The biggest two are his storyline with the character Kira from Solo, and how he ends up on Malachor where we find him in Rebels. I don't believe we need to see every single thing that happens with these characters, but these 2 points are significant enough that I don't think the character's story will feel complete until we see these plot lines played out. Ideally, after this show is done, if anyone is curious about what Maul's appearance in Solo was setting up for, we can direct them to this series and say, this is everything you're looking for and it's amazing. My second hope is kind of related to the first, but I hope that the exploration of Maul as a character is satisfying enough that this series can serve as a sort of final statement on Maul in terms of his on-screen media. I love what they've done with this character in animation, and I love Sam Witwer's depiction of him, but I do think his story should be finite. So on top of answering all the plot questions, I really hope to see the creators express all that they have to say about Maul within this series. All the complexity, all the layers, unexpected nuances, and different dimensions of his personality, I want to see it here. My third hope is that the series is able to go for a while without overstaying its welcome. For me, the right amount of time for it depends on what else Lucasfilm Animation is able to do during its run. So far it has seemed like they've only had the bandwidth to make one flagship ongoing series at a time, with the Tales of specials as a kind of bonus in between seasons. I'll happily watch Maul Shadow Lord for as long as it's good, but if the next series won't begin until this one ends, I think I'd want 3 seasons of this show. As excited as I am for Maul Shadow Lord, there are other series I want to see from Lucasfilm Animation. 3 seasons feels like a good balance where it gets to tell a decent length story but makes way for something else in the near future. Bad Batch was able to tell a satisfying story in 3 seasons, and Maul is reportedly much more tightly serialized, so I definitely think 3 seasons used well could be enough for it. Maybe it could utilize time jumps between seasons to cover a longer span of time. If things have changed at Lucasfilm Animation and they're able to do another series concurrently with this one, I'd be very happy to see 5 seasons. But I think that 3 to 5 range feels like the sweet spot for this show. I don't really need it to be a Clone Wars length show where it goes over 100 episodes. I like that for the Clone Wars because it's an ensemble show, it has so many focuses, it's partly episodic. That length of time makes sense for that. But when we're focused in on this one character and a smaller ensemble, I think you can satisfyingly tell that story in a shorter episode count and fewer seasons. My fourth hope is one that I really don't think is likely, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. I would love for them to do a Son of Dathomir feature-length special at some point as a sort of interlude between seasons. For anyone who's unfamiliar, Son of Dathomir is a comic that adapts a Maul-centric Clone Wars arc that was never produced due to the cancellation of the series. I'm so grateful that we got this story in the form of a comic, but I still feel like we're missing something important by not having it animated. I think if they were to do it now, it could be informed both narratively and stylistically by what they're doing with this series. I also think they could flesh it out even more by adding some flashbacks to Maul's upbringing and training to add more context to where his character has come from and what shaped him. I'm not holding my breath here, but it'd be very cool to see. Finally, I'd like to see them push the maturity and sophistication of their animated storytelling even further while delivering a more consistent tone. Star Wars animated series have had to sort of shift between 2 identities. At times, they're bold, mature, and compelling in a way that you really have to see to believe. But then they can also be the cuter, younger-leaning shows that I think a lot of people assume is all that they are. The sensibilities really can fluctuate from episode to episode. I hope to see this show begin and stay in the tonal place that its predecessors were able to get to at their best. With a character as popular as Maul and a relative lull in Star Wars content, I think the show stands a chance of pulling in some fans who don't typically give Star Wars animation a chance. If it does that, it needs to hook them quickly. If it establishes a mature sensibility that doesn't feel compromised by the fact that it's animated, I think a lot of people may be surprised by what animated Star Wars has to offer. It feels like a risk for them to make this older-leaning animated series centered on a villain, so I'm sure the stakeholders will be watching it carefully. As a sort of bonus hope, I'm really hoping that the viewership shows that this is a viable path, and that we see Star Wars animation get to continue in this mold. Not that everything needs to be dark, but the word that I keep coming back to is uncompromised. I'd love to get to a point where there's no distinguishable tonal difference between animated and live-action Star Wars. And I think if the adult audience is there, it will allow them to be even bolder and more ambitious in the future. That wraps up my biggest hopes for Maul Shadowlord, but I'd love to hear what other people are hoping for from this show, so please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.